Janine is a member of the BC Lymphedema Association board. How long have you been on the board?
Probably 8 years.
8 years. Long-time volunteer, big part of the organizing committee for this event, and my pleasure to hand the microphone over to Janine.
I'll try to be quick. Okay, my name's Jan, and I'm a retired primary. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a retired primary grade teacher and a director of BCLA, and I have had secondary lymphedema in my left leg since 1998, and so this is my story from then until now. My lymphedema trek began one day back in October of 1997 when I was 41 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, there, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Should I start over? No. My lymphedema trek began one day back in October of 1997 when I was 41 years old. I was doing a ballet plie when I noticed a lump in my upper inner thigh of my leg. It was diagnosed as a soft tissue tumor, but luckily it had a very low risk of spreading or reoccurring. Otherwise, I would have lost my leg or not been here. At VGH on Christmas Eve, I had surgery to remove it. The surgeon made a wide excision which affected some nerves, an adductor muscle, and a couple of veins, an artery, and I found out later lymph nodes. At that time, all I wanted was a tumor out of my body and thought that would be the end of it. But little did I know that this surgery would affect me for the rest of my life. The tumor was gone, but soon after my legs started to swell. I did have regular checkups at the cancer clinic for 10 years, but no one told me it was lymphedema. The only thing that was mentioned was that I needed to wear compression on my leg for the rest of my life, which was very disconcerting. I was fitted with a custom flat knit thigh-high compression stocking and told to wear it during the day. I remember being so upset that I had to wear this thick, heavy stocking and couldn't wear shorts and skirts anymore. I was very self-conscious for having one leg larger than the other. I had trouble wearing skinny jeans, leggings, and tall boots, which really bugged me. I was very self-conscious of wearing a bathing suit too. What made it worse for me was that I liked to be in control of my health, and I found I had no control over this. There was nothing I could do about my leg, so I thought at the time. I went along for about 4 years wearing my compression and very busy raising my 3 children and teaching. But during that time, my leg wasn't getting better. It was in fact gradually getting more swollen, even after wearing the prescribed compression. I knew I had to do something about it, and if I didn't do all I could, my leg would just get worse, and that is not what I wanted. The doctors just said, wear the compression, but didn't give me an explanation why my leg was swollen, except maybe the surgery had caused it. So what could I do? I decided to try and find everything I could about what was happening with my leg. Since that decision, I've been motivated to do the best I could for it. And there's not been one day that I have not worn compression since 1998. In 2001, I made an appointment with my vascular surgeon to see if he could help me, and he did by giving me a list of massage therapists that dealt with the swelling. That is how I found my certified lymphedema therapist, Grace, who fortunately lived close to me. I have had manual lymph drainage, or MLD, from her since 2001. Grace has been very supportive and was the one who had told me that I had lymphedema. I had never heard of lymphedema before that. 4 years without knowing. I was so grateful for her that I knew what I had. Looking back, during those 4 years, I did make the mistake of wearing a class 3 circular knit stocking instead of a flat knit a lot of the time. I think that led to more swelling and the beginning of solid deposits and some fibrosis in my leg, especially since I was on my feet all day teaching. I really liked the lightness of the circular knit because it was very thin and not that heavy, thick stocking. After finding Grace, I continued wearing my compression stocking and was having MLD 2 to 4 times a month. I really think that having MLD on a consistent basis since 2001 has helped prevent any infection in my leg. I have never had cellulitis, but my leg was never going back to its normal size. I went on a hunt for more information about lymphedema. I perused the web and found bits and pieces of information, and then eventually found the BCLA. I joined in 2009, which had really helped me. It was nice meeting other people who had lymphedema and who had more knowledge about the disease than my doctor. In 2014, I heard about compression pumps and asked Grace for a pump recommendation. I was excited that maybe this pump would be the answer to not wearing compression all the time and would result in my leg volume reducing back to normal. I bought a tactile FlexiTouch pump down in the States. I was happy to have that covered by my extended health, as it was $5,000 US. The pump did really help move the lymph fluid, but it wasn't a cure. I still use the pump periodically when I think I need it. Then came the emergence of social media. Facebook, Instagram, lymphedema websites started springing up, and they have all been great resources for me. I began to follow other lymphies from around the world and hear their stories and how they managed their lymphedema. Very helpful and reassuring for me, so I know I wasn't alone. Despite having weekly MLD and wearing compression and pumping over the years, my leg developed fibrosis and solid deposits, which are hard to treat. I found I also needed to wear nighttime compression when needed. I was very diligent in following the gold standard of lymphedema treatment: exercise, skin care, MLD, and compression, along with a relatively healthy diet, but still my leg did not get smaller. I realized, based on my results, that I needed to be wearing flat knit compression daily, not the lighter circular knit. Despite all my care, I still couldn't get my leg to reduce back to normal. Dealing with this disease every day for 25 years is no easy feat, and I do get sick and tired of it at times. I eventually learned that lymphedema is a progressive disease, and at present there is no cure. We do have effective management strategies, but I never given up hope that there was something more I could do. Then in about 2018, news of lymphedema surgeries began circulating on social media. Well, of course, I began researching these surgeries. After a lot of my own research, I made the decision to have suction-assisted protein lobectomy surgery, or SAPL, a specialized liposuction, as my leg was now stage 2 and had accumulated lymphedema solids and some fibrotic tissue, even though I was really diligent in my care. Since there was no doctor in BC at the time performing the surgery, and the lymphedema clinic in Vancouver wasn't up and running yet, I found Dr. Granzow in Los Angeles, California, through my research on the web. Other lymphies had had the surgery done and were very pleased with the results. So late in 2018, I went to LA for a consult with Dr. Granzow and to see if I was a candidate for SAPL. I had a lymphscintigraphy test and both legs measured for a baseline. My leg was found to be solid predominant, and therefore I was eligible for SAPL, so long as I agreed to wearing compression 23 hours, 7 days a week for life. I agreed to the compression as I was already used to wearing it. I was slated for surgery in May 2019, but then COVID hit, and then my surgery was postponed. COVID did settle down, and I finally had SAPL in June 2022, about a year and a half ago. Before COVID, I did make an effort to have my out-of-country surgery covered by BC MSP, but to no avail. 2 reasons: I was told not to get the surgery done, like don't be a guinea pig. And secondly, I was told that the surgery could be done here in Canada, and I think in Montreal they were doing it. Lymphedema surgery was just beginning in Canada, and I wanted an experienced surgeon who had successful outcomes. So I went with Dr. Granzow. I was fortunate enough to be in a position to afford it, because it was very expensive down in the States. For pre-op, I had to have tests done up here. I had specific blood work done, an ECG, and was checked out by a cardiologist, and I think that was because of my age. I had consent letters from my GP and the cardiologist. All costs for these services were covered by MSP, except I had to pay for the GP letter. I was also sent all pre- and post-op instructions for recovery from Dr. Granzow. They were just excellent instructions. I knew all the recovery protocols up to a year after the surgery. This was extremely helpful. The day I arrived in LA, I had to have a COVID PCR test at the hospital, so that was a bit worrisome because if I was positive, there would be no surgery. That, thank goodness, I passed. And I met with Dr. Granzow, had both legs measured by Julie, Dr. Granzow's excellent and highly skilled lymphedema therapist. The next day, I was put under general anesthetic and Dr. Groundsell performed the surgery with his physician assistant, Samantha, and Julie, who wrapped up my leg at the end of surgery. I woke up with my leg fully bandaged. Dr. Groundsell had made 8 small incisions in my leg, which now are hardly noticeable scars. My husband accompanied me, so I was thankful to have a helping hand for post-surgery meals, transportation, and other duties during my stay in LA. I was in the hospital for 2 nights and then 8 days recovering in my hotel. I was on antibiotics, Tylenol, and Toradol, and anti-inflammatory med for the time I was down there. I was told to walk for no more than 15 minutes 4 times a day. My leg was bruised, quite bruised, but the pain was not bad and it was very manageable. About day 4, we were going for drives and short walks along the seawall and enjoying the warmth. I saw Julie every other day for rewrapping of my leg, and after 1 week post-op, I had a follow-up with Dr. Groundsell. I was measured for compression garments which came from Germany. I had to wear a class 3 compression thigh high, a class 2 thigh high, and a class 2 compression shorts, so very confining. They arrived just in time before my flight home. I was so glad because then I didn't have to wear those big huge bandages on the flight, and I had this shoe that was, because my foot was bandaged that I couldn't wear my shoes. So I had this special shoe, and so I was so thankful to have the compression on the plane. Recovery from SAPL does take time, but the time goes really quickly. Wearing the heavy-duty compression 23/7 and my knee mobility were the major obstacles rather than the pain. To rehab my knee, I went on my Peloton bike most days and gradually increased the resistance over 2 months because I couldn't bend it. I had to do special exercises to get it to bend more. I was instructed to remove the class 2 thigh high at night and sleep only in the shorts in class 3 stocking. I must say it did take time to get used to wearing compression stockings and shorts at night, but I did what I was told. After 6 weeks, I went back to having MLD once a week with Grace. I gradually eased into everyday activities and by 2 months was back to normal living and regular exercise. The post-op follow-up from Dr. Groundsell team has been excellent, even from a distance. I had a 3-month follow-up video call with Dr. Groundsell and went back to LA for a checkup with Julie. I had a 6-month, 9-month, 12-month, and a 1.5-year follow-up video calls with Samantha, Dr. Groundsell's physician assistant. I have one more final check in June, which would be the 2-year mark. Before each follow-up, I had to send leg photos and have both legs measured by Grace. Measurements can tell how much volume of fluid your leg has, and then they compare the data in a spreadsheet to see how your leg is doing. My normal leg is also measured for comparison. At any time, I can get in touch with Samantha and or Julie for any concerns or questions I have, and they both always get back to me within a day or 2, and we use the WhatsApp app. My leg was initially swollen from the surgery, but slowly subsided. At 3 months, I was remeasured for new compression stockings. While waiting for my new stockings, I had to sew or take in my current stockings as they were now too big for my reduced leg volume. And it took in about that much for my stocking. After 4 months, I was crossing my fingers I could get rid of the shorts and class 2 thigh high. I first weaned off the shorts, then the class 2 stocking a month after that, and my leg responded very well. I was so happy for that. I now only wear a class 3 thigh high 23/7, and I'm used to sleeping in it. I do wrap my leg with Ready Wrap when needed, do daily self-MLD, continue weekly MLD with Grace, exercise, and take care of my skin. Every 3 to 5 months, I buy new class 3 compression stockings 2 at a time as they wear out. My leg has remained the same size for more than a year now and has not gotten more swollen. Am I glad I had the surgery done? Yes. Is surgery a cure? No, but my leg feels lighter, is more like my other leg. It doesn't swell as it used to, and I have more mobility. I can wear skinnier pants, shorts, and fit tall boots. Are my legs perfectly symmetrical? No. My ankle is still larger due to skin thickening, and my thigh is now smaller than my other one, probably due to the tumor scar and the lack of one muscle. My leg does get a little pink after shower, and I have some fuzziness in my foot, but it's not a big deal. I think that's from the nerves, fuzziness. Through my lymphedema trek, I have learned you have to be your own advocate, be motivated to help yourself, to never give up, and to try to be positive even though some days are hard and tedious. Each person needs to find out what works for them. It does take diligent effort and experimenting, trial and error, but well worth it in the successful management of lymphedema. In closing, the BCLA and following Instagram accounts of other lymphies have been a real support for me. I'm very happy that awareness and treatments of lymphedema have come a long way around the globe since I began my trek in 1998. And I hope sooner than later, we'll have a comprehensive lymphedema center of excellence here in BC and around the province, and the continuing development of lymphedema surgeries and treatments worldwide. And that's my story, so thanks for listening.